Squid Game's second season had a strange focus on organs both inside and outside of the games. From the frontman's backstory all the way to the game's staff having an illegal operation, this video will break down everything revolving around organs in Squid Game. The frontman's sacrifice. Let's start off this video by talking about some of the really dark backstory of the Big Daddy frontman. So, the mysterious figure's real name is Hwang In-ho. We know him from Season 1 as this imposing, masked figure running the show behind the scenes, watching joyfully while the players go through the hellish torture of the games. But Season 2 really digs into who he actually is, or rather, who he was. Before he became the master of these deadly games, he was a police officer, and a widely commended one at that. He was a very skilled detective who solved many crimes across his 14-year-long career. And he has a younger brother, Junho, who we saw infiltrating the games in the first season. Trying to find him, following in his brother's footsteps as a police officer. One major piece of the front daddy's past involves a deep sacrifice he made for Junho. Years ago, long before the games took over his life, In-ho actually donated one of his own kidneys to save his brother's life, for which he was the closest match. Think about that, a literal piece of himself given away to save his brother's life. This detail adds such a layer of depth and heartbreak because, as we'll find out in just a second, this act of generosity to his brother might have indirectly sealed his wife's fate later on. The wife's tragedy. This is where In-ho's story turns incredibly dark and seems to be the catalyst for his transformation into the cold and menacing frontman. While he was still a cop, his wife became desperately ill with a serious liver condition. As well as dealing with this tragedy, she was also pregnant. Doctors advised terminating the pregnancy because of the risks involved with her illness and the potential need for a transplant, but she refused this as she wanted to be a mother with In-ho. In-ho was frantic and stricken with fear, trying to find a donor to give his wife their liver, trying to find a way to save both his wife and their unborn child. He needed money, and lots of it, for the risky treatments that could potentially end his wife's life. It's possible that having already donated his kidney to Junho meant he couldn't donate part of his body to his wife, leaving him powerless and needing to turn to other options. Desperate, he made a fateful decision which would change his life forever, sending him into a terrible downward spiral and creating what we know him as today. He accepted money from someone he shouldn't have, a criminal contact from his prior police work. His superiors found out, viewed it as a bribe instead of medical aid, and despite what might have been a clean record before, they fired him on the spot and ended his career. So here he is, having lost his job, his wife critically ill, pregnant, needing a transplant he can't provide or easily fund by himself. This crushing weight of debt and desperation is what ultimately pushed him towards the Squid Game in the first place, which is very ironic seeing as the game preys on these kinds of people, and his enforcement of it later would have meant he's preying on himself and others' bodies. He joined in on the 28th iteration of the games in 2015, probably hearing about that massive cash prize and seeing it as his only hope to save his wife and unborn child. And he won. He was good. He made the sacrifices necessary and came out on top as the only winner. He survived those brutal games all those years ago, becoming a winner just like Gi-hun, but the victory was hollow, and the feeling of success was extremely short-lived. While he was trapped in that horrific competition, fighting for his life and the money he thought would save his family, his wife passed away. It was too late for the operation to take place, and both she and the child died tragically. He won the fortune that hundreds of people lost their lives for, but in the process, he unknowingly lost everything that mattered to him. Everything he was aiming for in life shattered into pieces around him. This really mirrors Gi-hun's own heartbreak with his mother in Season 1, with him winning the game but being too late to make it count for his family.
Mom, are you asleep? Hey, Mom. Mom, I'm home. Come on.
We even see Junho visiting his sister-in-law's grave in Season 2, so the loss is still a raw wound felt to this day. This devastating experience must have completely broken In-ho to his core. It stripped away his humanity, leaving behind the cynical, ruthless Big Daddy persona who believes the games are just a reflection of the world outside, a world that showed him no compassion or mercy, only slaughter and depression. When he later tells Gi-hun a version of this story about his sick wife, the pregnancy, needing a donor, losing his job, it's chilling because it's largely true.
My wife back home is very sick. She was diagnosed with acute cirrhosis and needs a new liver. While they were running all those tests on her, we found out that she was pregnant too. The hospital recommended an abortion, but she wants to go through with it, even if it means dying.
He's just hiding behind the mask of the innocent player 001. He uses his own pain as a disguise within the game to get close to G-Money and hurt him. The horrors of the organ trade. This brings us to the illegal and top-secret organ trade, an operation which even some staff members of Squid Game don't know about. It's one of the most disgusting aspects of the games. After players are eliminated, whether they're shot during red light, green light, falling from heights, or even killed in riots, their bodies aren't just disposed of in a normal way you'd expect. There's a system in place for harvesting their organs so a profit can be made out of them. We see the pink guards carting away the coffins. Some are marked, indicating bodies that might be suitable for organ harvesting before they head to the incinerator. By season 2, this operation seems very active. There are scenes showing the harvesters struggling because many organs are damaged from the violent deaths, riddled with bullet holes, making them unusable. This suggests there's a pretty high demand for these illegal body parts, so they want as many as possible. The less experienced guards are even instructed to shoot more carefully, and condemned if they don't, in order to preserve the valuable organs inside each body. They view the contestants of the games as objects to be harvested and sold like crops instead of people. One specific guard we get to know a bit about is No Yul. She's one of the shooters and seems quite ruthless at first, not always bothering with the careful shooting to preserve organs like her teammates. This puts her at odds with the leadership of the organ ring. There's a scene where the head guard confronts her, questioning why she's defying the organ harvesting protocols. She seems disturbed, maybe wanting to leave or following a different moral compass now. With such an elaborate operation, you might think that it's an official part of the games. But who's running this is as surprising as the room's existence. The guards are the foot soldiers, doing the dirty work, all taking a split of revenue from their boss. A character known only as the Masked Officer, wearing a distinct black suit and mask, is the leader of these guards. This figure is the mastermind behind the Season 2 organ harvesting operation, and he reports to the front daddy himself. But it also might be that this specific wave of harvesting is being driven by this leader for the short term, while the front man is undercover. Many fans believe that the Big Daddy in-house set this up himself and simply turns a blind eye to the guards putting money in their own pockets. With all his trauma around organs, it would fit perfectly. But his role is a real mystery, which we'll find more about in Season 3, the front man's morals. In Season 1, remember when he discovered a rogue operation where a player doctor was helping some guards harvest organs in exchange for game information? The front daddy was enraged. Not necessarily because of the organ harvesting itself, that didn't seem to faze him at all, but instead because the corrupt deal compromised the equality of the games.
Whether you sell the dead body's organs, or eat them, or whatever, I don't give a damn. However, you ruined the most important aspect of this place. Equality. These people suffered from inequality and discrimination out in the world. And we're giving them one last chance to fight fair and win. But you broke that principle.
He ruthlessly executed everyone involved, both the doctor and the guards who helped him to cheat, and displayed their bodies as a warning against this breaking of rules to other guards and players. So he was against unsanctioned harvesting that broke the game's twisted rules about equality. But in Season 2, the harvesting continues in full force, and some viewers think it's now happening under his supervision as frontman, using an external doctor's training to help the guards instead of a player. But why would he allow or oversee it now? The show doesn't give a very clear answer so far. It could be cold, hard logic. These bodies are here, might as well extract value. Could it be something like that? Or it might also be part of the system he inherited from Il-Nam and now simply manages as the new boss. Or maybe his descent into nihilism is so deep that he genuinely doesn't care about the desecration of bodies and just turns a blind eye to the Masked Officer. It's just another part of the trash elimination he spoke of when describing the players in society. Maybe selling organs funds the games themselves, or lines the pockets of the VIPs as a return on investment. His motivation remains unknown, hidden somewhere in his overall sinister philosophy that humanity is inherently corrupt and that the games simply expose people for what they are. Trash. He sees Gi-hun's attempts to stop the games as hypocritical because, in his eyes, Gi-hun and everyone else who chose to play or return are already taking part in the system's brutality and exploiting others for personal gain. The organ harvesting might just be the final, evil closing remark on that worldview. It's this complex web of personal trauma, dark philosophy, and the competition-based brutality of the games that makes the frontman and the organ trade so sinister and evil. His past sacrifice for his brother paints an unsettling contrast to the monster he's become over the years, a transformation fueled by unimaginable loss and pain. And the organ harvesting ring is as a reminder of how the games turn not only people's lives, but the very bodies of the desperate players trapped within them into tools to be bought and sold. It shows the system doesn't just kill, it consumes the soul entirely. So that's the organ connections in Squid Game fully explained. If you enjoyed the video, drop it a like, and if you want to see more Squid Game content, click the video on screen now.